All right, everybody. It's me, Miranda Madison. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Minnesota, and I missed you guys last week. I think that I have something prepared. We'll see. I just did it not that long ago, but I'm almost not even wanting to show you the sneak peek of it because I tried something that I haven't done before. So I do not have my hubby's computer tonight, and so I'm going to try and see if I can get this working on my really super old iPad. So if you are here with us, let's tell me you're here and what you've been up to today, and I will see if I can get it set up on this iPad and we will get started crafting tonight. So let me see if I can find myself on here. I've already tried to mute so that I can hopefully see comments as they are coming. We'll see if it muted the whole thing or not. Hi Susan, it's working. We'll see how long it works. I haven't used the iPad for this in a long time. So I just got my pre-order that also had a little bit of goodies that go with some of the classes that my team leader Robin is working on, and so I have put together a couple of different projects with those items that I got in my order. One is I got the stitched all around bundle, and my favorite part about that bundle are the framelits. The stitched shape framelits are some of my favorite that we have in our catalog, and I was so excited when they put them in the annual catalog after having them for such a short amount of time. So I was super excited to see that they had added those in to the catalog. So I've made a card that was sort of inspired by the cartoon that I shared on the page earlier, with it being National Elephant Appreciation Day. Elephants are one of my favorite animals, and so we have I think just one stamp set in our current catalog that has elephants, and it is the, let me see what it's called, A Little Wild. It's the A Little Wild stamp set. So I thought I would show those sets if I can do it without knocking over this huge pile that I have here. Huge pile. So this cute little elephant I have used in a previous live for a baby card, and so this one is kind of a card that you could use for any probably a female because of how cute the card is, kind of feminine, but you could definitely make it a little bit more masculine if you wanted to. But I wanted to incorporate that little elephant into a card using this stamp set, the Stitched All Around, and I know that it's reversed and you'll see it when I flip around, but I also wanted to show a little bit closer up the framelits that I used. So I used tonight this framelit from the Stitched Labels framelits. This set has framelits on the front and the back, and so I know that I will be using these quite a bit in the future, especially now that I know how cute they are. So not that I was really doubting, because all of the projects that I had seen with it were pretty cute. So I'm excited to work on that with you tonight. A couple of the other items that I am using in that first card, I just thought I would show you as I was getting things out. I used the Wood Textures Designer Series paper. This is one of my favorite Designer Series paper packs. It comes in the 6x6 size, and you can use it on pretty much any card that you're working on. I really feel like it is so versatile because of it having such a neutral palette of colors in its paper pack. So a couple of the other things that I am using tonight are the copper trim and the linen thread, which are two of my most favorite ribbons in the ribbon choicing in our catalog, and so I I didn't want to use just one. So I am also using the colors Very Vanilla, Early Espresso, and Coastal Cabana. So those are the colors that we will be using for our first card. And then depending on how long it takes because of the technique that I'm trying out tonight, we will see if I can work in the second card. I'm going to try really hard. So I'm trying to think if I had any announcements. My hubby and I had a really fun anniversary getaway, and I'll try to post some pictures on this page to show you a little bit more of our getaway trip. My older two kids went with their grandma to go see Lake Superior and go around to a couple of the lakes on the northern end of the state. And then my youngest went to camp for the first time. He was super excited now that he's in 3rd grade to get to join in on that. So he got a little bit homesick, but he had some really good people there to help when I'm so far away. So that was super helpful. So we will flip the camera around, and I'm going to try really hard not to make you dizzy, and then we will get started creating today. So just 1 second. Flip you around here, and I tried to have things sort of set up, so we will see how I am here. Okay, I'm not too bad. I might just scoot a couple of things over. You can let me know what you guys have been up to today. Let's see that we have a few people joining in on us today. I have prepped a couple of different things from this card just because I wasn't sure how much time I would have tonight, and I didn't want to not meet because of being gone last week. So we will work on our projects over here. So I kind of have my project set aside up here. Hopefully you won't be able to see it. And I will put it into the light a little bit more. It's a little dark in my crafty room. And I'm working on getting some lighting situated. So let me see if I can get this cord out of the way too. There we go. I'm so sorry if I'm shaking all over the place. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to bring over some of the pieces for this card. I have cut out a piece of Very Vanilla thick cardstock, and it is oh goodness, 8.5 by 5.5. Goodness, I was just totally spacing out over that. So that is going to be our base, and so we will do a little bit of embellishment on the inside once we have some of our ink out, and then we will also be, our technique is really going to come in with this piece here. So I'm going to try to watch comments on the iPad as I am creating here, but if I need to, I will stand up every once in a while and see if I can see the comments from the top as well. So the technique that I want to try out tonight with you guys is actually inspired by a technique that our co-founder, Shelly Gardner, showed on one of our, oh goodness, they were filmed for Onstage in April. And she used this on a project that she was working on, and she took a piece of cardstock and she kind of distressed it a little bit with some ink, and then she crumbled it up and distressed it a little bit more to get the color in the veins of the paper. And so I tried it out on the card that I made for tonight, and I realized that it took me a little bit of time just to do these extra little steps, and so that is part partially why I have my little items cut out already, and we're just gonna work on this as we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the Stitched All Around stamp set, and I am going to get out a couple of the little pieces that I want to use on this cardstock. This is Coastal Cabana, one of my most favorite of the new colors that were brought in to our Stampin' Up! Color families. And then I'm also going to get this little stitched stamp. Now I have trimmed both of these stamps. When they arrived to me, they usually come with a little bit of a border around the stamps, as you can see with the sentiment that we're going to use as well. I just barely trim the edge of my stamps just to give me a little bit of a little bit better of a guarantee that I'm not gonna make a huge mistake on it. So because these are the clear mount stamps that are also the red rubber, they have a little bit of the cushion built into their stamp, and so I will not need to use my my piercing mat for this project today. So when I was working on this project earlier, I'm going to tell you already that I definitely, sorry, I had something on my screen, that I definitely got a little bit more inky than I was expecting. So if you are a neat crafter, this may not be for you, but I'm going to try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this stamp set, I inked it up in the early espresso ink. And I also wanted to show real quick that this ink pad is one of the old designs. And this is partially an example of why they redid our ink pads. So you can see on my ink pad here that it's kind of bubbled and it's got a little bit of residue and stuff. This ink pad is not even a year old, and so when I got it, I realized that it was gonna have those little markings on it. But I also it doesn't affect super a lot how my stamps work or anything. I just have to make sure that it's inked up real good. But when they talked about why they were making these new ink pads, and the fact that it was to create a defoamer, which is part of why that is so bubbly. You can see the difference in this new stamp pad of just how clean that is. And so I just thought I would show an example of one of the reasons that caused them to just reevaluate how they were doing our ink pads, to give us better quality, to work out some of the kinks that they had noticed. So that is the new brand of ink pads. And so when I was making the first one, I thought I should show the difference between the old and the new, and you guys could get a little bit of an idea here. Now some of this is not even going to be seen once the card is done, but I'm all for finishing things and not just halving them. So when I had the idea, I just kind of went with it and finished it as I went. So I'm just going to do 3 of the little leafy design here. And then I am using my Stampin' Scrub. Just need to, it's super, super dirty. And I have the old Stampin' Scrub. The new one is bigger and awesome, and someday I will own it. So I'm just going to clean my stamps, and this is dirty, so I'm not even sure how much of a clean it's actually getting. But it'll be better than nothing at this point. So I'm just going to clean that off there and set my Stampin' Scrub over to the side. And then I'm going to go on to our little stitched X's here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create kind of an abstract look here. Just random places, just to give it a little bit more detail here. Nothing with any rhyme or reason. I just kind of put put them on there here and there. So now is the really like almost uncomfortable part. I'm gonna scrub that off really fast. Probably shake you all over the place. And we are going to crumble up our cardstock. So this part was, I'm not gonna lie, kind of hard for me to do because I didn't really want to ruin it. So I'm just like not really any rhyme or reason to it. So we just crumbled it up just like that. And so I'm gonna set aside our very vanilla just because I know this part is gonna probably shake you all over the place. I did not even think about that. So I apologize in advance if this makes you super, super dizzy. So I'm going to start off of it and just, oh, I'm really sorry if that's shaking you. So I'm just taking my, my sponge, which I have marked early espresso. I've had this sponge for quite a while. And I'm going to lift it and see if I can do it better this way. So I'm just like distressing this cardstock. And the reason I started off is because sometimes when you start, you get the imprint of what the sponge looks like, and I'm not really wanting to put that effect quite on my card. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of trying to focus on the veins just to pull out that color a little bit more. And so the veins are more seen. So what I'm going to do next is, now that I've made you sick, I'm going to take my sponge and I'm just going to go along the edge here just to distress it just that next little bit. Another thing I'm going to remind is that when you have taken a piece of cardstock and you've kind of broken down the fibers like I did by wrinkling it up, you are going to want to use more adhesive when putting it down. So I'll show you that when I'm adhering this to the card base of that we are going to want to use more of our snail adhesive when we're putting it down. So what we had at the beginning was a very clean piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock, and this is what we have now. So just adds a different, and I will show you my fingers. They are definitely inky. I did not have a chance last night to redo my fingernails, so they have not been this naked in a long, long time. I usually have things on my nails. If it's not gel nail polish, it is jamberry wraps or something. I just have not had nothing on in ages. So it feels very weird to not have anything on. So I'm just going to ink up for the inside, and then that can dry while we're going. So I'm just inking up my stamp, and we're just going to put one here and then we're going to do one more down here. And then because the outside has got some Coastal Cabana on it, we are going to use it on the inside of our card. Since I don't have a separate layer of cardstock to put on the inside, we're just going to add a little bit of the Coastal Cabana ink with it. So I'm just going to grab that ink and open that up there. And then I'm going to use that same stitched stamp and just give it a little bit of random little X's there, just to add a little bit of interest to the inside of the card. Nothing too fancy. It doesn't really take away from what's happening on the outside. And so that is all we are going to do with the Coastal Cabana ink. So I'm just going to set that aside. And now I'm going to get out our sentiment we are going to use the Oh Darling, You Are Fabulous from the front here. That's what it looks like. So this stamp set has so many cute fonts to it that was definitely on my list of stamps that I wanted to get. So we're going to use our early espresso again. And so I'm going to open that up, ink up our stamp here. I can tell in the center that I am needing to re-ink my ink pad up. So I am going to put this stamp, and I'm going to make sure it's in the right spot. I'm going to put it in the lower right hand corner because in the top left corner we are going to be putting our cute little elephant in there. So that is what that is going to look like. And then, and I totally did this a different way, and I was going to show you something cool on the Stamparatus, and now I just did it without even using it. I might show you anyway. So what we're going to do, I'll show you what I was going to do since I forgot. Of course, that's how it goes. I just kind of get started, and I'm so used to doing life without my Stamparatus that sometimes I forget how much easier it would make my life if I remembered that I had it. So what I did is I'm going to take one of the plates off and move it to the side, and I have created a template here to use my Stamparatus to help me get my sentiment right where I wanted it. So this piece of the Very Vanilla cardstock is what I use to cut these stitched shapes out with. And so what I did is I just put it on using both of the magnets onto my Stamparatus. And what you can do is you can put the stamp right on the image where you want it. And I'm not going to, in case it's dirty, but what you would do is you would put it down here and then put your clear plate down on top of it to pick it up off of that. And then if you didn't get it inked up all the way, then you could go back and it would put it in the very same place. But this template holds that shape right in place. And so I was going to show you how awesome it is to use that template to hold your stamp in place to make sure that you get a really crisp image from your stamp. Sometimes we don't notice if our ink pads are running low on ink and need re-inked. And so this Stamparatus really helps take some of that guesswork out of it of what do I do now? I don't want to have that ruined image. And so this Stamparatus tool is amazing, and I need to just leave it out on my table so that I don't keep forgetting that I have it. So I just thought I would show you that little trick really fast. So now I'm going to set my base aside, and I'm going to pull out my cute little elephant here, and maybe I'll try to zoom in a little bit. Let's see if it'll let me. Maybe it doesn't want me to today. Okay, well, I'll just lift it up after I'm done coloring a little bit, and then you can see it. So the colors that I'm using today to color my cute little elephant are my Stampin' blends, and I have the dark Petal Pink and the light Smoky Slate. I used the dark Smoky Slate as well as the light Smoky Slate on my first project, and I found that it wasn't quite the image that I was looking for, and so I'm going to just try it with just using the light Smoky Slate instead of using both and trying to blend those colors, because I'm not really looking for a super shaded elephant, so it wasn't a huge deal of mine to have that specific shading. So I'm just using the light Petal Pink to color in the cute little ears of our elephant here. And then I'm just going to take my light Smoky Slate and use, I prefer to use the brush tip, but it does have a fine tip as well on our Stampin' Blends. And if you have watched any of my lives before, you know that if I'm using a marker or am coloring, then the Stampin' Blends are definitely a favorite for sure. I also wanted to take an opportunity to show, I haven't used them yet, but in my pre-order, I ordered some of the second edition, I guess. I don't know if that's really what they were called. They are the assortment number 2 of the watercolored pencils that have all kinds of new colors that just came out. They are only available for a short time right now. So what I'm hoping, I'm just crossing my fingers, what I'm hoping for is that if enough of us like them, then they will put them in one of the next catalogs that they are putting together for us. So I think that they're just kind of trying it out to see who is interested in using these super cute watercolor pencils. So when I got them today, or on Friday, I haven't barely even been able to open my box and pull anything out until today. So I've left them sitting close by so that I can try them out and use them on a project. So I will hopefully have a project put together this week that I can share with you guys using those colored pencils. And I just thought now is the time to show everybody that you can only get them for the month of August. And so if they don't decide that they're popular enough, we might not ever see them again. So these have some really, really great colors in here. So it's Cherry Cobbler, Flirty Flamingo, Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, Granny Apple Green, Garden Green, Coastal Cabana, Balmy Blue, Night of Navy, and Gorgeous Grape. And those colors are so, so beautiful and are some of the most popular colors, I would say. I definitely gravitate towards the Coastal Cabana, the Night of Navy, Granny Apple Green I think I used last time. And these two, top 2 are colors that I've used quite a bit. And so these are the current in the annual catalog, the first edition watercolored pencils that has the Real Red, Calypso Coral, Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, Bermuda Bay, Pacific Point, Rich Razzleberry, Melon Mambo, Early Espresso, Basic Gray, Basic Black, and Whisper White. So this is the one that's in our annual catalog that you can purchase anytime. And then this one is only available right now for the month of August. So if you like any of those colors and love watercolor pencils, these are amazing. The watercolor pencils that I have used that Stampin' Up! Carries are so, so great. And so I am looking forward to trying those out and sharing some goodies with you guys. So I'm going to finish coloring our cute little elephant. When I saw that picture earlier, I knew that I had not had a chance to sit down in my craft space to even look and see what I was going to create for you guys tonight. And so when I saw it, I thought that's exactly what I needed to see, something to inspire my creativity a little bit, because it has been so long since I have been in this craft room. I did create a wedding card for a wedding that my hubby and I went to yesterday, but I did not have a chance to film it. And so I took pictures of it that I'll be able to show, but I did not get any filming done for that card. So I'll just have to show pictures of what that looks like. So what I am doing here, hopefully I did not dump the tiny little flower from my card over. We're going to use these pieces. Uh-oh. I might have to redo a little flower for you. That'll be okay. It's missing. I kind of figured that might happen because it was so tiny and I had not colored it yet. So I do not see a piece that I was using. So we might have to redo a little flower piece. So I do not see it sitting there either. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a piece of the Whisper White. And I don't need a super big piece. You might have to bear with me as I'm doing a little bit of hand cutting here. But let me know what you think of our card so far while I'm pulling out the stamp here. I just got to switch a couple things out. If you are new to my page, what are some things that you would like to see me create, or products that you think that I should try out with you guys? So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a little wild and I'm using this tiny little flower here. And we are going to use our scrap paper from when I cut out the little elephants. As you see the cutout, I think I've shown that part before. It cuts out the front and the back on both of them. And so we are only using the front of the cute little elephant in our card today. So we're just gonna use the little flower there, and I just need one. So I'm hoping that you guys are here with me because I cannot see any comments. So you're either really enjoying or busy watching, doing other things while you're watching, which I do all the time. So you do not have to feel bad about that at all. But otherwise, my iPad is not quite doing the job if you're commenting and I'm not seeing them. So I will respond to all of your comments as soon as I'm done filming. If you really are commenting, I really apologize if I can't see them right now. The iPad that I have is super, super old, so it kind of is lucky that it's still alive at this point. So what we are going to do, if you just saw what I did, I was not even paying attention. So what I did is I took my Coastal Cabana Ink Pad and opened it up, and then I put it on top of my clear block over here. So these clear blocks can be used for so many different things other than holding your ink or your stamps. Then I am taking my blender pen. These come in packs of 3 in our catalog. And I am going to take the ink off of the clear block. I'm just going to color in our cute little flower here. So this step doesn't take a super long time, but I was trying to cut out a little bit of this time that it takes, hoping that it wouldn't take the whole hour to create this one card, even though it's got a lot of steps to it. So what I'm doing is I just took the ink up off of that clear block with my blender pen, and now I'm just running the blender pen clean so that it will be ready to go for the next project that I'm going to work on. And then I'm just going to take a Kleenex that I have actually done this exact same thing with, and I'm just going to clean my clear block off so that it is ready to be used for my next project. So it just cleaned it right off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take my paper snips. Hi, Jordan. So we're just going to take my paper snips here, and I'm going to try really carefully not to get my head in the frame, because when I did this before, I didn't have a camera on. So I'm going to move that piece, and I'm just going to cut around this cute little flower. We're going to put it on our little elephant so that she's a girl, because it's National Elephant Appreciation Day, because that Sandra Boynton, she's one of my favorite children's authors. My kids loved her books, and we still have several This probably looks really, really tiny on the camera, so I apologize that I couldn't figure out how to get it to zoom in. So her books, she has, I think the one that my kids liked the most is the Good Night book. And now I'm going to totally space on what the name is, actually, of that book, too. Good Night Moon, maybe? I can't remember. But my kids loved it. So when I found out that they have a Facebook page, I have really enjoyed following their posts that they post. And quite often it ties into whatever the national whatever day is. They have posted a lot of those. The one that they did the other day with the cat was hilarious. So what I'm doing is I just put a tiny little glue dot from our mini glue dots. Now these have 300 in this roll, and so they last me a really, really long time, but they are some of my favorite adhesives that Stampin' Up! Carries. So we just put that tiny little flower, I'll try to raise it up so you can see, the tiny little flower on our cute little elephant. And so now we are going to work on assembling our card. So this card was inspired by that cute little post I saw today with the elephant. So what we're going to do is we're going to put quite a bit of adhesive. I think, did I put it? Yeah, we're going to put this one down first. So we'll do, I'm using snail. Snail adhesive is probably my favorite adhesive that Stampin' Up! Carries. I use it on a ton of things that I work on. And what we're doing is we're putting this designer series paper down, giving a little bit of a border around, just leaving a little bit of a border there. So this one was cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So this front card is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and so I just took off 1/4 from each side and made it 4 by 5 1/4, just because I like to give my cards a little bit of a border there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. This is our bronze. What did I call it? Oh, copper. It's our copper trim. I always want to say it's bronze for some reason. And what I'm going to do is I just kind of made this up as I went along. I'm just opening up little areas as I go. Not like all the way, because it's not got to have any rhyme or reason to it, but I kind of like the fun effect that it has when it's opened up, and it kind of has that like netting look to it. So I just kind of am opening little bits along the way of the middle of it. We're going to leave a little bit on the ends to adhere it to the back of the card. And that's probably good there. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of put it on the top part right above where those little stamp marks are. And I'm going to try really hard not to pull too tight, because it'll take our effect out. But I still want to adhere it down. I'm going to use a piece of just Scotch tape to hold it down in the back. And then it'll hopefully help me to not take our little accented trim. So I'm going to take it on the other side and tape it down. And we will see. Let me see what our... Well, it's taken about just as long as it did the first time. So I did not get any faster. So sorry. So what I'm going to do with that copper trim is I'm actually going to add in a little bit of the linen thread, which is probably, I would say, my second favorite. Copper trim is probably my first favorite. My second favorite of the ribbon choices in our annual catalog. So I'm just putting a little bit of piece of tape down there just a little bit down from where our copper trim is. And then I'm pulling it all the way around and putting it on the top of that copper right here, just to kind of outline it. And then we are going to tape it down, and then I will use my paper snips over here to trim that off. And now I'm going to pull out, I didn't measure this earlier, but I had plenty, so if I do it around the same, I should be good. So I'm going to, once I have my layers on, I'm going to tie a bow with 3 strands of the linen thread, because I thought the effect was so cute of what I got there. So what I did there is I just did 3 of the same size of the copper, or the linen thread. So I'm going to put that linen thread away. That stuff lasts me forever. I've bought quite a few of them, but I feel like I haven't, it takes me a long time to go through them. So what we're going to do is we're going to put snail on all 4 sides. Because of how we broke down the fiber in this cardstock, I put it in the middle as well, just to hopefully hold it down tighter to the base of the card. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and so I wanted to make sure that we got the most out of our adhesive. And I also cut this piece of cardstock at the 4 1/4 length, so it will go from edge to edge, and there it will not match our designer series paper that I have there. So we are going to flatten that down just to make sure that it's holding really tight in the middle. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to put this aside for just a second, and I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals to our sentiment and our little frame here. So I am going to put 4 Stampin' Dimensionals on to that card, little card front, and just push down on our base again. So I'm just taking off the backing of this one, and I'm going to put it over to the side here, pushing my Stampin' Dimensionals down right over there. And then I'm actually going to take some snail adhesive and put it on the back of our cute little elephant girl and put her right up here. So she's so cute. And then we're almost done with this cute little card. So I'm going to put the linen thread through the bottom one. And I only did this once, and it went really great. So because I'm filming, I will probably move you all over the place, and it probably won't go exactly as I would like it to. Because that's what happens when you go live, right? So I'm just tying a really simple knot here, and then I'm going to take and make my bow, if I can get it to work. Okay, so I'm just going to do it loose right now because I want to try to move my little strands so that they will go to the bottom, because I love how that little bow is just gonna push to, it'll look so cute, I promise. So I'm just gonna mess with it, loosen it and tighten it until my little tails here can go down on my card. I'm not super confident in bows, and so the fact that this happened fairly easily the first time I made the card, I was super thrilled, because usually it takes me several tries before I can get it. So it's super cute. So now all we're gonna do is trim our little tails off so that they're not taken over taken over on our card here. And so that is our cute little elephant inspired card. So this is the first one that I did earlier today. My tails got a little bit long on that. So this is our finished card for the elephant inspired card. So that's the inside of our card. So those are super, super cute. I can even see my daughter liking that kind of a card. So trying out that new distressed cardstock and making it look all spongy and breaking down the fibers was super fun to try out. So I hope you enjoyed watching that part with me. The next thing that I wanted to show was just a tip on how I create the sponge, and then I actually have a new thing that I do for the top. Now that we have a special punch that we carry that came out, and I'm not even going to be sure that I know what that punch is called. So let me see if I can find it really fast. Something makes me think that it's something about a tag. So I'm going to try. Thanks, Pam. I'm going to try to find our little punch in the back and see what it is called. Circle tab. Okay, so it is called the circle tab punch that I am going to use I'm going to make a mint macaron sponge that is this size. And I'm going to show you how they come. So these are our Stampin' sponges. And so I will tell you that one package of these Stampin' sponges will go a very, very long way, because I cut them up into little wedges like this. And so I like to have one for each color. And so I just take my Stampin' sponges and I will cut it into little wedges just like that. So this is all I'm going to need for my mint macaron sponge. And so I will just take a piece of scrap paper of the mint macaron, and I take our little punch here and punch the color of cardstock that I want to match our ink for that specific color. And I'll write it out with a little pen or marker on one of the sides. So I'll just pinch it like that. And on one of the sides, I will write the color of ink right here. That's where I find it. So I'm going to try to not put my head in. And then, of course, this is where my ink does not want to write. So this is mint macaron. And then I will take a stapler and I will just pinch my little tab to the top of my sponge. Hi, Terry. And I will staple that little tab on the top of my sponge, and that way not only do I have the color of cardstock that I used for this ink, because this is now going to match the mint macaron ink pad, but I also have the name listed, and it has a handy little tab for me to hold so that I don't get my fingers all inky. So I thought, because I used the sponging on my card today, that I would show really quick how I make my little sponges for my crafting. So like this comes with 3 circles, and they're super, super cheap. And so I just put them away and pull them out when I can't find my sponge that I've used before. That I usually just have them in the top of my Stampin' caddy. I'll show you a little bit of an example of what other ones that I have. So I've done it to my Calypso Coral, my Lemon Lime Twist, and if this is another example, if I cannot find a piece of cardstock, what I will do is I will take the sponge that I'm going to use, and I will sponge the color of ink that I'm going to use on a Whisper white cardstock. And then I used that same circle punch to punch out that same shape, except this one has been sponged by the color that I want on my sponge. So if I can't find the cardstock of that exact color, I just sponge a Whisper White cardstock and use the same punch to punch them out. So this is just an example of what I use for. Some of the sponges are bigger, you can see, than others, but that is just a system that has worked really well for me, and it helps me kind of keep track of what colors I use most often and things like that. So I thought that it would be really fun to show a card, and I did not plan out this card. I just wanted to show this technique to you guys, and then I figured we would make up the card as we went along. So what I'm going to do is I have actually already embossed, and I'm going to see if you can see it. There it is. You see the cute little dandy. Oh, and it's not even all the way embossed yet. So I have almost all the way embossed a dandelion on this cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my embossing gun, my heat gun, over by my desk because it was far away, and I'm going to plug that in so that I can show you, hopefully, what it should look like. On here it's a little bit, there were some places that I missed right along this edge here, and in the center and a little bit over here I did not get all the way with my heat gun. So I'm going to turn on my Stampin' Up! Heat tool to the setting 2, and then I'm going to see if I can finish. There we go. Now because I used the clear embossing powder, it has made it very difficult for you to see, but that is part of what makes what we're going to do next really fun. So the whole reason I wanted to do that is because I want to take, I'm going to cool it off just a little bit so that I make sure that it's dry. We're going to use the mint macaron and a sponge to add some ink to this image, and then you will see why I wanted to emboss it with the clear. You could have also done it with white, but because we're on white cardstock, it's going to make it fairly difficult to see in general. So I'm just inking up my sponge, and you can give it a little bit of pressure, but it does take a little bit for the color to actually show up on your sponge, and it does have ink on there. So even though it doesn't look like it's super inky, it really is inky. So I'm going to start in the center and just work my way out, and you can already see some interest from the center of our cute little dandelion with that mint macaron ink. Just a little bit at a time. This stamp set was definitely on my list, but my team leader Robin cards, there's just something about it, like something about watching her work on them, that definitely makes me need them quicker than I was planning on. And so if you guys are like that, like me in that way, then you understand. But so now what we're going to do is we're going to just start rubbing it. I go in a circular motion, but I kind of want to bring the ink out to the edges. But I want the bulk of the ink to be in the center of my dandelion. So I'm going to start there and kind of work my way out so that it is still a little bit lighter on the outside. So we're going to leave a little bit of white there. So that shows what that embossing can do if you do the white. I did clear embossing for this one, so it's not even made with the white. But I did it on Whisper White cardstock, so that just shows the effect that it has on when we use our sponges over the top. So that's just a really fun technique to use with our ink pads. So I thought for this card, I would do the sponging on that beginning part, and then I would put a sentiment with the full strength of ink just on the base there. So we're going to take, and I can show you on this one how I trim my red rubber stamps. If I can find my snips. Yep, there they are. So I just take my paper snips and I just go along, not getting any of the stamp sentiment itself, but going pretty as close as I can to it, because it just gives me a little bit more of a guarantee that I won't get those edges when I'm inking up. Those little marks won't come up on my image. Now, I will tell you that it is not perfect, and there have been times where I have still seen mistakes pop up, but that's a part of paper crafting. And if I wanted a perfect image, then I would just go to the store and get one. So not a huge deal. I just do this for myself. That, and I feel like once I have trimmed the edges like that, then it makes it a little bit easier to pull it out of the case itself when I have a little area to take it out with. So I have never used this stamp before because I just got them. So this one says, "I made a wish and you came true." So I'm just going to put that on my clear block there and ink that up in the mint macaron, and I'm going to set it down right there. So that came out pretty good. I made a wish and you came true. So that's a super cute effect on a card. So what I thought we would do is just kind of make this card as we go. So I have a couple of different ideas that I thought would be fun to incorporate. I thought that you guys could help me choose an embossing folder because I wanted to do a tone on tone using a layer of the same color as my other layer. So we're just going to do a lot of tone on tone on this one and accent with white. So I thought it would be really fun to put in this cute, oh, I just dropped something. I want to use this cute polka dotted, the Whisper White polka dot tulle ribbon. So it's super, super pretty and it looks gorgeous with that mint color. So I thought it'd be really fun to just do a simple embossing on this one. And so I thought I would pull out some folders that might be fun to use and that you guys could maybe help choose which embossing folder to use. So I'm just going to choose a few that I really like. I could do that one too. So if anyone is still here with us, I'll give a couple minutes to help decide between these three. So we will have, this will be number 1. I think that is called Petal Burst, and I am not even close to remembering what this one is. I really need to write it on top of it. So this one will be number 2. That's a cute little flower. And then this Wavy Lines, which I also am having trouble remembering what the name is. You can choose between 1, 2, or 3. So if anyone is still here watching, while I am looking up what the names of these embossing folders are, that gives us a little bit of time to hear which embossing folder you think I should use on this card. So I am almost there. Like number 1? Yeah, that Petal, I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that that one is called Petal Burst. Yep. Okay, so this one is Petal Burst, which is already the favorite. And this one is a part of a duo. And so I need to find where that one is. I'm sure it wasn't retired. At least I thought it wasn't. Oh, there it is. It's called Petal Pear. That's why I couldn't see it. And so it came with a second one that's also that size. And then this one is, let's see, Seaside. There it is, right here. So Petal Burst, Petal Pear, and Seaside. So what we will do is, I have not practiced this part on here, so I'm going to try to move my Big Shot over to run the petal, since that one's the favorite. We're going to run our cardstock through our Big Shot on with this Petal Burst folder. And so I'm going to pull my Big Shot over, and you get to experience firsthand how well loved my Big Shot is, because I just had an embossing plate break on me today, which is completely normal. So I get to show you that. So our Big Shot comes with the Big Shot platform. It comes with a thin die adapter, which is right here. It comes with the thin die adapter. So that goes on here. Now we're not going to use it for this because we are doing an embossing folder, but I wanted to show you that that also comes with it. Then it will come with 2 plates. Now these clear plates come with no marks on them. And so something that I always want to tell people is that they are going to be loved. For the first time that you use it, you are going to make a mark on it. And that is totally fine. It is not bad for them. It does not, it's what they're there for. So it's better than it going through your platform, your base. And these plates come in packages of 2 in our refill packs, and I'm pretty sure they're $11. But I will tell you that I have had these for several months. And so I know that, well, they look very loved, and I will show you that it does crack, and I will continue to use it with it this way until it goes further through, because I like to use them as long as I can, because I am cheap. I don't know. My hubby's cheap. There's probably lots of different reasons why I do that, but I just try to get the most out of my plates while I have them. So one plate that comes in the package will always go way quicker than the other one, and then I just use that one next. So I pull this one out when I use my embossing folders. So hi, Nate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my embossing folder with our paper in between our 2 clear plates, so they'll look like a sandwich kind of. So I'm going to put those together, and I'm going to put them inside of our Big Shot, and it'll be snug, and it's going to probably make noise, and it's probably making you dizzy because I'm rolling it already. So I put them through the Big Shot, hold on to the top, move it through. It's almost kind of like a pasta maker. And it will be a little bit tight just because it wants to make that imprint. And so that is normal. You are not hurting your machine at all when that happens. And so when I use dies, sometimes it'll make a cracking sound, and that is completely normal as well. So I just thought that since I had done most of my cuts already, that I would show you a little bit of how to use the Big Shot tonight. So I'll move that back over here, and we will show you what our finished product was. So this is what our Big Shot did to our cardstock. So it started off looking like that, and what we are going to do to this card tonight is we're going to layer the color, the same color on top, and just give a little bit of accent behind. So super simple. So what we're going to use next, before we adhere anything down, is we're going to use this. It is the Whisper White Polka Dot Tulle ribbon. So I'm going to use my paper snips here, and I'm going to trim the edge there, and I'm going to use just normal Scotch tape to adhere this part down. So I'm gonna do it a little bit underneath half of our base, and we will just tape it down. And then because we put this through the embossing folder, where did I put it? There it is. We're going to use our snail adhesive on all 4 sides because the more that you break down the fibers by putting them through the Big Shot in a folder like that, or like with our first card where we did the distressing, you need more adhesive to hold it down to your base so that it doesn't pop up. So I'm just gonna be pretty generous on my back layer here with the snail adhesive as I am putting it on to our base here. So we're just gonna give that a little bit of a border on there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our snail adhesive and we're gonna put a little bit down on our circle that we did our embossing on, and we're gonna put that down on the other layer of the circle. Now these circles, I used our layering circles, Framelits, and this comes with several in here. I use these on so many different things. They have scalloped circles and plain circles, and I do not even have them attached to their special cardboard piece anymore because of how often I use them. So I usually will just stick them into my little case in a mess because they don't stick anymore because I use them so often. So these are a favorite for sure. So just thought I would show you what I used on those. And now I'm gonna get out some more of my Stampin' dimensionals, and I'm gonna put those down on my circle here just to give it a little bit of height on my card. And so we are going to take the backs off. This is when my fingernails come in really handy. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I know that it's gone a little bit long because the first card took me quite a while. So if you guys were here the whole time, you guys are troopers. So this is just a really simple, I'm gonna do a little bit of a bow here just to bring a little bit more to that edge. But this was kind of on the fly, this card, because of how long it took me to do the first card to practice it tonight, so I didn't get to practice 2. So what we're gonna do is we're going to just tie a really simple knot on that one, and kind of go just like that. This one will just be a really simple knot bow. And we're just going to cut at an angle at the diagonal just to give it a little bit there. And I think that one's still a little bit long, so I'll just go up one more. All right, so that is our really simple second card for tonight. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and I hope you enjoyed watching me create these 2 projects. I really enjoyed making them, and I think that they came out super cute. So I try to go live on this Facebook page on Sunday nights at 8:30. If something comes up, I will usually post that afternoon. But I'm really trying to stay consistent as much as I can. So thanks for understanding last week when I was on my little anniversary trip. So if you have any questions about the projects that I made tonight, I will be posting as soon as I can the details for the cards that I made, both under the info on the YouTube channel that I will be loading this to as soon as I can. Also, I'm going to try to get them up on my blog, and that is, there's a link to that both on my Stampin' Up! Business page as well as this page should have a link, and I will probably try to share it in the comments on that. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you soon.